And so there's models like South Korea who took advantage of February, built up the testing capacity, and they were able to contact trace, and their infections have gone down even without the type of shutdown that, because we're late, we're having to do. We should be able to get to a South Korea type prioritized testing thing within a few weeks. It is tempting because if you got there early, South Korea did not have to do the extreme shutdown because they did such a good job on testing. You know, testing is the key thing. You know, South Korea did that in this massive way that everybody should learn from. Until we get the number of cases in the country down to small numbers, where we can be doing testing and isolation against those small numbers, we need to make this our top priority. And it is super painful to drive this very high degree of social isolation I call shutdown. Looking at the other countries who acted sooner and in some cases did not have to shut down to a full degree, that's where the lessons are. They can show us, okay, what was the medical history? That's what the exemplars, like some of the work in South Korea, are telling us. Well, there are countries that responded very quickly. South Korea ramped up their testing and did the prioritization, so you're getting those tests back quickly. We understand what needs to be done here. It's going to be very painful, but taking the pain early means there's a lot less pain, both medically and economically, than if we dilly-dally and wait until every town has big numbers before we react.
Is there a model that does seem to work and should be followed for everybody?
Well, countries have differences. South Korea did get a medium-sized infection, but then they used testing, enforced quarantine, contact tracing, and really bent the curve, even though it looked pretty scary there for a while. The epidemic in the United States is more widespread than it ever got in South Korea. The worst thing we have is that if it takes you longer than 24 hours to get the test result, then you don't know, you haven't been told during the very key period where you're most infectious to take extreme measures. And so we've got to get not just the numbers up, that confuses people. It's the speed of the results. South Korea was giving those results in less than 24 hours. Their ability to get the cases to come down has been dramatic. South Korea's done that, saw the problem, and really got the testing, community-wide testing, done very well. They prioritized who got tested. When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war.
Well, what Bill Gates really sought with that TED Talk back in 2015, 5 years ago, was to alert governments that they needed to ramp up their capabilities in dealing with epidemics and pandemics. Not only Bill Gates, but many world leaders have now talked about South Korea's response to the coronavirus. Bill Gates talked about South Korea's response to the coronavirus. He focused on three things: testing, contact tracing, and isolation. Those are the three things that the South Korean government managed to do that really flatten the curve and reduce the effect of the coronavirus here. He mentioned particularly testing repeatedly. Well, hopefully other countries around the world will heed Bill Gates' advice in emulating South Korea's response to the coronavirus.